Welcome back, my Royal Rogues. We got a bombshell, a preview, just a preview of a bombshell from Tom Bowers' book. And it seems that this book is gonna deliver because we got this royal revenge. The Queen said, "Thank goodness Meghan is not coming on day of Prince Philip's funeral." Explosive book claims. That is Tom Bowers' book that's been begin to be drip feed into our subconscious with all these explosive claims. And you will remember what happened that day. It was on the April 17th, and just a month after her grandson Harry and wife Meghan had sat down with Oprah Winfrey for a sensational interview that rocked the royal family. In revenge, Meghan, Harry, and the war between the Windsors, biographer Bauer details how the Queen made an observation at Windsor as she prepared to go to St. George's Chapel for the service, where they were watched as she sat alone due to COVID restrictions. So, we're beginning to see these dynamics that were previously unknown to us. As he writes, on 9th April, Prince Philip had died. His funeral was set for 17th. Harry arrived in London just before the service. The mood was somber. Daily, the media extolled Philip's remarkable life and devotion to the country. The Duke had planned a simple funeral at St. George's Chapel at Windsor. We got that. The rehearsals displayed faultless military drill. Meghan had cited her 7 months pregnancy as the reason for not traveling. Okay, there was a reason. You remember that moment we got this tension because it was the first time that Harry was going to reunite with his family, with the royal family, after having said everything that he said on Oprah. You know, that was it was a stab in the back. You know that it must have hurt the Queen deeply. Okay, and maybe she could forgive Harry to some extent, but it will be hard to say that she's gonna be as forgiving to Meghan, especially in those dates that were so delicate and so sensitive for her. In Windsor Castle, the Queen was preparing to face the public on one of the saddest days of her life. Philip had been her rock for the previous 70 years. To comply with COVID restrictions, she would grieve alone inside a chapel. "Thank goodness Meghan is not coming," the monarch said. So that's why you remember this image that was so heartbreaking, that she had to grieve Prince Philip alone. And with this image, you feel that weight, how it felt to be alone at that moment. Tom Bowers writes, to comply with COVID restrictions, she would grieve alone inside a chapel. And if that was not enough, on the day of the funeral, to avoid any problems with William, because the rift between the brothers was fully loaded, was complete at that moment. The brothers were separated by their cousin Peter Phillips as they walked towards St. George's Chapel. While the Queen looked dignified, William tense, Kate serene, and Charles visibly anguished. Bauer writes Harry's impatient flapping of his order of service was down to his nervousness over his upcoming Apple TV series about mental health. You know, and I'm going to release today another video on my Body Language Guide channel about that film that Harry made for Better Up on mental fitness. You know, how can Harry be the one to interview, to talk about mental fitness? After every single signal that suggests that he lacks awareness, he lacks empathy, he lacks the mental fitness, the toughness, the resilience, after all the opportunities he had to make a real contribution to the world. It's baffling. Looking at his family standing in St. George's Chapel, Bauer writes, Harry must have known that the Apple TV series would widen the rift. Yeah, because he was going to talk that he had this problem and etc. You know that it was after William himself has said, and Harry himself have said, that William had told him to look for help. And Harry then afterwards denied this, or make it seem like it did not happen, has never happened. After the service, Kate, Catherine, maneuvered to engineer a conversation between the brothers. You know that Catherine is the jewel here. She's the bridge. She's the negotiator. She knows that there has to be some reach out between the brothers, especially when the world was watching. And she must have told William, you have to show your, how to say that word, you have to show that you are a real monarch. You have the what it takes to be a king, and you have to reach out to your brother no matter what your brother did. And that was okay by that moment. Okay, that was okay by that moment. Maybe the things were too hard still, but I think that was okay to say, well, let's give a second chance. Let's give this opportunity. It's a not ordinary moment at all. This is not going to happen again. But Bauer writes of Harry, who wanted to return to California as fast as possible. Maybe not. I'm sure he was embarrassed. He was totally embarrassed of being there after how the Oprah interview, how the fallout of the Oprah interview was rocking the world. You remember that there was a reporter that asked William and Catherine to their faces, is the royal family racist? And William said, visibly upset, I'm pretty sure not. We're pretty much not racist. That were his words, if I remember correctly. So it was very uncomfortable situation, triggered by Harry in this case, and triggered by Meghan, of course. And you can imagine that Her Majesty, in all her patience, in all her poise, in all the years of experience leading with, well, situations far worse than Meghan and Harry and Oprah, in a moment, such an emotional moment for her, this moment of weakness, she would have said, well, I simply don't have the energy to deal with her at this time. Okay, I can barely deal with Harry, and I'm sure that Harry is going to behave like nothing happened. I'm sure that that's the way Harry behaved, and that's what we have, well, this time. And that's where this outrageous claim comes from. If you want to buy one of my exclusive merch and apparel, thank goodness Meghan is not coming. Well, just check the link in the description, because, well, this is the Royal Rogue. We are outrageous. We know no boundaries, my rogues. We know no rules, and we will be there the next time. But for every single step, for every single revelation on that Tom Bauer book. Take care. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas, and I am the Royal Rogue. See you in the next unveiling.